a lot of ways in this picture that we had, we see, oh, I don't know how to use those. We see a contest between power and violence. Here we see, I think, if Hannah Arendt's right, we see an expression of power, a non-violent expression of power. And in return, the police never fired a shot. The East Germans, one of the most oppressive states on earth, never fired a shot. They never fired a shot in part because one of the slogans of the revolution was no violence. And it was a slogan that was administered to the protesters. Protesters stopped themselves not only from beating people up, but from breaking windows, from burning cars. And in doing so, they stopped the police from shooting back. And that's an interesting dynamic right there. I think it's a kind of fascinating dynamic. This is a maybe a nice way of putting it. Wouldn't it be great if we had these kinds of protests? Maybe it's not so great. Maybe it's not so great. So I want to look at maybe a more sober reflection on what happened in 1989. This is a more recent German theoretician. He's still alive, just barely. He made the front page of Die Zeit this summer in a kind of ridiculous photograph, but a beautiful, ridiculous photograph. He was thinking in 1992 about this. And he says, look, the more we learn about the inner constitution of East Germany before November and the course of events leading up to the opening of the wall, the more clearly the accidental character of events and the passivity of the social movements emerge. So he's looking at that crowd of people, and he's saying this is an accident. This is an accident. Don't get fooled. Don't get fooled, Hannah Arendt, by this idea that there's some kind of expression of power here. The locus of control doesn't seem to have been located within the engaged demonstrating masses and their brave and civil leaders, nearly to the extent that it appeared. So Habermas is criticizing the kind of romanticization that I want to engage in, right? I want to find something lovely in that gigantic crowd of people, and Habermas is saying, don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. They're brave, sure, they're civil, they weren't violent, but they weren't in charge, they weren't running things. This expression of power is an emotional expression. It might be one important facet of political culture. But without institutions supporting this kind of expression of power, without rational limits on how this power is expressed, those kinds of mass demonstrations can turn very ugly too. So now I'm curious, right? We've got this kind of conflict between Habermas and Arendt. They seem to disagree about the expression of power. I want to figure out how to answer that. And I don't have much of a thesis. I guess here's what I want to say. I want to say that power, as Arendt defines it, is the lifeblood of democracy. Power is the lifeblood of democracy. The way that Arendt puts it a little bit later is, it is the people's support that lends power to the institutions of a country. It is the people's support that lends power to the institutions of a country. All those people demonstrating robbed the police of their power. Sure, the police had guns, but if nobody listens to the police, what power do they have? So it's the people's support that lends power to the institutions of a country, and this support is but the continuation of the consent that brought the laws into existence to begin with. So political institutions, our institutions, Germany's institutions, require some kind of expression of power, and that comes through acting in concert. That comes through acting together. It comes through participation in civil society. But that power can be expressed awfully. That power can be expressed in demonstrations that are oppressive and repressive. And so I think, following Habermas, I kind of want to say, power requires institutions. It requires democratic institutions to channel it. It requires democratic institutions to... All right, let me finish up. It requires democratic institutions to make sure that it doesn't run amok, to make sure that it doesn't turn violent. And so we have got a funny kind of dialectic in the end. I still want to find something beautiful in that gigantic protest. I want to find something that ought to motivate us as young people to participate in civil society, to work together to change things. But I want to be wary of the kinds of ways that working together we might forget our way. Do I have a conclusion? Yeah, well, so here's a final little Habermas quote. Political culture is made of a delicate fabric of mentalities and convictions that can neither be invented nor manipulated through administrative measures. States can't invent that kind of political power. Self-understanding, the political self-consciousness of a nation of citizens, forms itself only in the medium of public communication. And this communication depends on a cultural infrastructure that at this moment is being allowed to fall into ruins in the new states. And that's the sobering message that I want to leave you with. Habermas thinks that that expression of power is being allowed to dissolve, just to what was East Germany. And it's being allowed to fall apart because it's not being fostered in the proper fashion. I often wonder about that here at home. I wonder about the kinds of communication that would allow us to understand ourselves as Americans. I wonder about the kinds of institutions that would enable us to work together to change our society, to improve our society. And I worry that sometimes we allow those things to fall into ruins, and I want to protect against them. So there's my little story.
That was wonderful, and it set us right up. Before I will introduce the panel, I would like to say a couple thank yous, because this would have not been possible without the help of numerous people on and off campus. And I would like to thank the Office of the Provost for his encouragement and for the lunch earlier. Upstairs. So that was wonderful. The College of Business for the room and all the support in any instances, and the College of Arts and Humanities and Social Science for the support, and especially I would like to thank Professor Stephen Edison. Yeah, he was instrumental in this, and at first I have to say, highly annoying whenever he said, and I had a question, "This is your symposium, you decide." It was very annoying at first, but he empowered me, and it was something that I needed to learn, and I thank you very much. Without you, this would have not been possible. I'd like to thank the Academy for Teaching and Learning Excellency. First of all, they have this wonderful institution on Wednesdays. You can go there and meet other faculty. And we hijacked their meetings to plan the symposium, and we were supplied with scones and coffee. And then they also paid for the teachers' workshop lunch yesterday, which was a wonderful success. Thank you so much. And I would like to thank my department, the Department of International and Second Language Studies, and Professor Clausen, the chair, for letting me do this, and Rosalie Cheatham for giving us the title to this symposium. I was at a loss, and she just came up with this, and it was wonderful. Thank you so much. And everyone else who believed in how important Germany and this event is. I would like to thank the German Club, and allen voran Herrn Derek Lind, the German Club President, and Herrn Cliff Martin, who is now the photographer, but he's also the Generalsekretär of the German Club. Thank you so much. The Office of Campus Life for all the support and the financial support, and especially Benny for designing the poster. This is wonderful. I don't know if he's here, but this was a wonderful job. Thank you so much. Then I would like to thank Dr. Richard Clark and the American Association of Teachers of German and International Studies program at UALR for their financial support. Thank you. The Oscars, but I would like to introduce now the moderator of the panel, that Professor Walt Wiegand. He's originally from Germany, so I will pronounce his name the German way. He is a distinguished Malden Entergy chair and distinguished professor of information science and management here at UALR. Before that, he was director of the Center of Digital Commerce and director of the graduate program in information management at Syracuse. And besides other things, he is a researcher, a consultant, a speaker, and he has taught in the US, in Mexico, in Finland, and in Germany. And his research has been supported by organizations like the NSF, the German National Science Foundation, the Volkswagen Foundation, the Münchner Kreis, and the International Social Science Council, the Rome Laboratory, and he has authored 7 books